community. And I believe for those that have joined us this morning, you've joined us with the hope of expanding your in data for Python. And today we have another seasoned speaker, a software developer, and open source and community advocate that is here to guide through the step that are going in Python open source projects. So for those that have quest to be a Pythonista. Hand over to the anchor of this program, and that has to be my partner that we've been working together for over some years. And funny enough, the first time we met, I met Olukemi in Finland when I went for a training in University of Olu. She also came for that training. And while I was exposing people to Python, how she got the interest. And to also talk about this that Ms. Olukemi, she's a graduate in radiography. But because of her love for computer science and Python, she has decided to start another BSc degree in computer science so that she can have a niche in computer science. So over to you, Olukemi Jacobs.
Thank you so much, Dr. Oladapo. Thank you for that beautiful introduction. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone on the platform. Please, if you are happy and you are ready for this webinar, kindly drop a fire emoji in the chat section. I would love to see your responses in the chat section so that we can get started this morning. And I know that we are fully prepared, fully charged to pick from the wealth of brain from our speaker this morning. Please, let's do well to drop the responses, the fire emoji in the chat section. Thank you so much. Good morning from Nigeria, because I know a lot of other people are joining from other part of the world. Yes, Ebuka is dropped. Ebuka Enoch has dropped. Our speaker Laís has also dropped. Please, let's keep the emoji. Let's keep them coming in. Let's keep them rushing in. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, thank you, Ogunlaja Victor. Thank you. Please, let's keep the excitement on. Thank you. All right. I welcome you all once again to this great webinar. That's Python for Beginners version 5.0. Who would have thought? Who would have thought when we started version 1.0 with Jody, and now here we are with our 5.0 version with Laís. Please, let's keep the fire emoji coming in. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Thank you, Olu Alex. Thank you. All right, so we'll go straight this morning. This webinar is for tech enthusiasts, beginners, intermediates who have little to no idea on how to do the open source community, who has little to no idea on how to contribute, who has interest in Python programming. So this morning, for the Python for Beginners 5.0 version, we have our speaker, Laís Carvalho. Please, let's drop our fire emoji. Thank you. Let's drop our fire emoji for Laís Carvalho, who is a seasoned speaker and advocate for open source and community-driven practices in the tech industry. As the only female board member of the EuroPython Society, she leads initiatives across Europe that empower underrepresented communities to contribute to open source. With a deep passion for diversity and inclusion, Laís has mentored hundreds of Python and data science beginners through non-profit organizations like Humble Data. In her role as communication lead for the EuroPython Society, she advocates for greater representation in tech and fosters a sense of belonging through mentorship and community building efforts. Now, this morning, our speaker, Laís Carvalho, has a lot of podcasts she has done where she has spoken on open themes on the topic Open Source Direction podcast. She has another one on Python Bytes, episode 263. It's time to stop using Python 3.6. Also, she had given talks on Amazon and Workday titled Responsible AI for a Diverse Future, Calculating AI Bias. And then also PyCon Italia 2024, where she talked on Python and freedom and bias. Also, she has spoken at PyCon DE 2024 panel discussion, community conferences under the hood, perspectives and best practices in volunteer organization. Please let's keep the fire rolling in for our seasoned speaker this morning. Also, she has another talk on trust in SODA 2023 panel discussion, where she talked from data-driven to people-driven, leading with empathy in tech. And also on FOSDEM 2021 FOSDM Python Dev Room, where she spoke on from Jupyter Notebook to production code. Also, she spoke at the PyData Cambridge meetup, Python and data engineering. And last but not the least, at Python Pizza Hamburg, where she spoke on Markov chain fake news generator. Please let's give it up for our speaker this morning. Let's drop our clap emoji. Let's drop our fire emoji for our seasoned speaker this morning. Liaz, we are happy to have you here with us. We are glad to have you and to pick from your brain of wealthy experiences. So this morning we'll welcome you. Thank you so much, Liaz. You are welcome. I'll be handing over to you for your introduction. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Olukemi. Thank you, everybody, for joining us this morning. It's early. It's a Saturday. I'm very, very, very happy to be here. And I hope we can all learn something new today. As I understand, we're going to have a very long time for questions and hopefully some good answers at the end of it. So if you do want to know something, if there is any questions throughout the presentation, please do drop them in the chat and I will be happy to take them at the end. Well, thank you very much, Olukemi, again for the lovely introduction. And well, I think we should start. Shall we start? Are we ready to start? You're muted.
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can start.
It's all good. Wonderful. So just let's check. Can you see my screen? Can everybody see my screen? Show a hand, thumbs up.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Amazing. Cool. So, well, let's start then. Wonderful. So today we're going to talk a little bit about open source and how to start your journey with open source and also in Python. So very briefly, a little bit about me. I currently work as a software developer. I call myself an open source and community advocate. You're going to understand why by the end of this talk, hopefully. I am a fellow of EuroPython Society, and I also used to be a director up until the end of last year. I got an award from the Python Software Foundation for my community service for the Python community, and that's when I'm gonna meet Olukemi this year, going to PyCon US to get that award. And I'm also one of the main organizers of Humble Data. Enough about me. Perfect. So open source. Let's do this. What is open source? So in very simple terms, open source is a way of doing things. So a development model that encourages open collaboration. We use this model, and today this is what we're going to talk about, open source software, which is basically software that is built in the open source way, which means that it's built by a bunch of people. So it's decentralized. It's not centralized in a person or a specific group, a small group of people. And it's peer reviewed, which it's kind of like an article. You know how you write and you send it to people and then people review it and send it back to you with some feedback. This is how the open source software model works. And this goes, and there's a difference between closed and open source. So by definition, closed source software is proprietary code, which means that the user, the person who is using the application, cannot see or modify the code, the software that runs behind it. So if something happens, for example, one of the consequences is that if something happens, for example, you are completely dependent on the vendor, the person that sells the software, to fix that thing that broke. In contrast, open source, users can see, modify, and redistribute the code that runs behind the application. And it's also developed in the open by contributors, the people who decide to help writing it, and maintainers. I'll explain the difference between these in just a second. Perfect. So I want now a show of hands to everybody that thinks that open source is free. Show your emoji in the chat, just raise your hand, anything. I want people that agree with me that open source is free. Let's see. Very good. Okay. So I see a few people saying yes, I think. So open source, yes, is free, but it's free as in freedom. So free to be used, not free as in beer, as in it's free as in there is no cost. So to understand this a little bit better as how this works, I need to go back to the history of open source a little bit. So there's this guy called Richard Stallman. They used to work in the artificial intelligence lab in the MIT, so the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, back in the 1970s. And Stallman was this guy, was very smart, and he tells the story that in his lab, everybody used to work with open source before open source was a thing. So at the time, proprietary closed source software was the thing that everybody would use, the way that software development would be done, and also software consumption. But he says that when he was working, the entire operating system, everything that was developed by the people, was something that was developed by the people in the community, and it would be shared by everybody. But at the same time that this was the way that the cooperation was the way that he was living and working every day, he had a very common problem, which is he could not access his printers. The printers in the lab that he was working had a problem. It was a huge problem. Nobody could print anything. And at that time, internet was not really it was not really, the way that internet is today, available to everybody. So not having printers was actually quite a big issue. He tried to fix the problem, but to fix the problem, he would need to access the source code of the printers. Since it was closed source, there was a contract situation going on between the university and the company that used to produce the printers. He couldn't really fix. And that got him really upset. And he decided then to kind of fix this problem. So he decided that he was going to build a new operating system that will be open for everybody to use and that everybody could see the code behind it. He left his job in MIT in 1984 to build this new operating system that he was going to distribute as free software. And well, since again, internet was not available, you couldn't share things through the internet, he then used to write the code, put the code of this operating system in a tape, an FTP, and send that tape for $150. And there you go. You had then a price tag into software that was considered free. For Stallman, for a software to be free, there are 4 things that it needs to do. So the user needs to have the freedom to run the program. The user should have the freedom to modify the program according to its own wishes and needs. The user should have the freedom to redistribute copies of the program that was changed, either for a fee or for free without charging anything. And the user would also have the freedom to distribute modified versions of the program so that community can benefit from bug fixes, for example, anything that got changed. Cool. Then he had this issue of what do you do then to make sure that companies that are making money with that software, that are making money, don't make money with that software that is made for free. So if myself as a developer am producing something, in this case, Stallman was writing the code and was building something, how could he guarantee that companies would not just go in and steal the work that he was doing without paying him back? So he created this idea. He had this idea of creating a license for software. And this licensing then was called copyleft, which is a junction of copyrights, which is the rights, the law rights to copy, plus distribution terms, which gives everybody the right to use, modify, and redistribute the program's code or any program derived from it, only if the distribution terms do not change. So in this way, you could make sure that the code and the freedom of using and seeing it become legally inseparable. So he joined the two of them, and in 1991, he launched the license agreement called GNU. That was the General Public License. They started all the licensing idea that we have today. And that was 1991. So you see that he was working in the MIT lab and he had issues with printers in 1971. So it took him many years to actually get there. But anyway, so the GNU, which was the operating system that he was working with, that he was building to be free, then became what we know now, kind of, as Linux. So GNU is actually the grandfather of Linux, which is a free operating system that we have it up to this day. So this is when things kind of started. And Richard Stallman was an advocate for free software that could be used freely. Then in 1997, there's this other guy called Eric Raymond that he was not really good friends with Stallman, but in any case, he came up with this idea that the software at the time was produced using what he liked to call a cathedral model, which basically meant that people the code would be free and everything was going to be, available for people to see when it's released, but the development process was restricted to a small group of developers. And he advocated that software should be written using more of a bazaar model, so a market model. And with that model, all code should be developed openly in the view of everybody. Software is better when it's developed under the bazaar model. And this book, this essay that then became a book, it was very opinionated, and it had this quote, this law that was developed by him that became quite famous afterwards, that says that given enough eyeballs, all bugs are shallow, which it's called the Linus law. It basically says that, which means is that the more widely available the source code is for the public, to test, to, you know, dig around, to try and break it, to experiment with it, the faster all forms of bugs are going to be discovered and, well, fixed as well. Well, then from here is history. The movement from free software to open source then became, there was, because of that book essay, there was a big push from the company that today we know as, today we know as the Mozilla Firefox browser, so the Mozilla project. This was 1998. They were very convinced that open software, free software was the way to go. But the free software, the name free software, was a little bit misleading to everybody. So they decided to adopt the term open source as an alternative because it was more explanatory to everybody. And then they created this open source initiative, which was a group of people that then became responsible for cementing the term and creating a definition for open source, creating also some standards and a certification for it. So OSI, the open source initiative, has also a certification for open source, or had at that time. And that explains why the term free software is free as in free of speech, not as in free beer that you get when you go to parties. But people still do use the term free software when they're having philosophical discussions about the freedom aspects of software in general. Cool. So this is history. And then we're moving on to the community part of open source, which in my opinion is the backbone of open source because, well, you need people. The existence of an active and diverse open source community means that users can find a place to get help if they want to do anything, discover and create resources to learn, contribute, and solve problems, not only bugs of the software itself, but also problems, things that they're trying to solve by using the tools. And they also get a space to share perspective that go beyond a specific group or company because, well, it's in the open, it's for everybody. Having a diverse community is essential to promote a rich exchange of ideas and solutions for anything. Larry Wall, who is also quite a cool guy, he created Perl, which is another programming language, and he also created a few other things. He has this quite cool quote that says that a language without culture is dead. If you get the culture right, the technology will happen, which basically means that if you have the community part, if you have the people around it, the technology is not really the most important bit. And, well, it's impossible to talk about community in open source without talking about the Python community. Python was created in 1990 by Guido van Rossum, this Dutch guy, and Brad Cannon, who is a core Python developer and member of the Python Steering Council. The Python Steering Council is this group of people that decide what the next features of Python will be developed. So it's the people that take stuff out, decide what comes out, what goes in, that mentor the new people that are coming to build the language. It's a group of really cool people. Anyway, Brad Cannon is the author of a sentence that people in the Python community know quite well, which is, I came for the language, I stayed for the community. That illustrates quite well how important community, the culture of the language is. So I'll tell you a little bit about Python in general, and then we go into how to start contributing. Cool. So Python community The Python programming language is the most used programming language in the world. There is around 600,000 users and 3,000 contributors. And this person, the first contributor here, this is Guido van Rossum, the guy that created the tool initially. And the place where you can find all the software that is being built with Python, so the Python libraries, which makes Python so good for so many different things, is the Python Package Index website, the PyPI. And the PyPI website has around 630,000 projects. So these are all libraries. They were built with Python and are available for free to be installed on your computer when you type pip install the name of the library. So think about this for a second. You have 600,000 people that use Python, and you have 600,000 projects that were built using Python. It's kind of like on average, it's kind of like if you have one library for each person using it. This is huge. It's so big. And some of the tools they are built with Python have even more users than it. One of these examples is Pandas, which is the main library used for data science things. And Pandas is used by around 2.5 million people. This is something I didn't know before I started building this talk, but Pandas has 4 times more users than Python itself. And this is crazy. So just the reason why I have these numbers here is so you can think about how big this ecosystem is. Python is one of those 600,000 tools. Building things with open source tools is changing people's lives. It's huge. Cool. So now I stopped preaching. And let's talk a little bit about strategies and how you can contribute to open source. Cool. So the most obvious way you can contribute to open source software is by writing code. I will not do a demo in this talk, but I'll tell you a few tips on how to make meaningful contributions to open source by writing code. As this talk is to a general public, I won't go into very technical details, but instead I'll give you a few hints on how to start and what to look for in a project when you're thinking about contributing. So if you take Pandas as an example, if you go to their GitHub page, you just go to the contribution section, and in that contribution section, there's a few things that you should make sure that you have in other tools, if you want to contribute to other tools. As you can see, Pandas does have them, but you need to look for these things. These are good. This is a sign that it's a good thing that you can contribute to if a tool has these things. So the things are a code of conduct. You need to make sure that there are ground rules of interaction and behavior in the community. This is the most basic step of them all, because it regulates how people interact with each other. Respect and patience are expected from everybody. And the code of conduct should also mention the behavior that will not be tolerated. The aim of this is to make sure that everybody feels safe and is treated in a fair way so you can contribute. You also need to look for a place of where you can ask questions to maintainers. So maintainers are the people who will look at the code and make sure that everything kind of fits together. So they're reviewers and the people that keep the house clean and tidy. In this case, the house is the library, the tool itself. And they have a lot of responsibility because they need to keep the library active. So you need to make sure that it's very clear where you can ask questions to them, because you are going to have questions and it's expected that you ask your questions. Then you need to make sure that there is a place where all the issues, all the things that you could work on are listed. If there isn't something listed that you want to work on, you can open an issue on your own, but it's advisable that before you do that, you talk to the maintainers first. Usually, the default behavior is that you find something that doesn't work for you or that it's broken. You go in, you look to see if somebody already noticed that. If they did, amazing. You say, I also have this problem. You leave your comment. If you didn't, if you cannot find someone that already reported, you you go there, you talk to one of the maintainers, you say, I had this problem in this operating system, with this version, in this situation, this happened. Am I doing something wrong? Is there something I can fix? This is usually how you would approach people if you want to fix something. And then, last but not least, you need to make sure that in the contribution page, there are instructions on how to set up your development environment. We call development environment the things that you need to do on your computer before you can clone the library, fork it, and do your changes, and run the code to do your changes and test them. A few more things that you should keep in mind. As I mentioned before, you should contact the maintainers before you start writing code to make sure that everybody is aligned and you were working on something that is relevant for everybody. You need to choose what you develop. And in my opinion, you should choose something that you care about, that is very interesting to you. Do what you like and feel comfortable, and your contribution will be easier and more pleasant. As Eric Raymond likes to say, to solve an interesting problem, start finding a problem that is interesting to you. Writing code can be frustrating. Making sure that the tests are passed, the documentation is written, that you get the feedback. Sometimes the feedback is not necessarily what you're expecting. It can be a very frustrating experience. So if you're doing something that you don't like, it's going to be very hard to get through the finish line. So do make sure that whatever it is that you're doing, you like it and you're interested about. Cool. Something very important, if you're a beginner, is for you to learn Git. And Git can be a little bit of a hit and miss. I have worked with software developers that do not know how to use Git properly, and it makes the entire team's life very difficult. So this is, in my opinion, the most sought after, the most important skill that somebody that wants to go into software development can have is Git. Git is the platform. Actually, no, Git is the tool used to do the development itself. So you write code on an IDE, but when you need to share your code, you need to push it to a platform. And when you push that code, you do that through Git. And there is a specific way of working with it. It's a framework. The most known one is GitHub. There are other ones. There is GitLab. There is Bitbucket. There are different ways. They're not necessarily Git. Is system version control. We call SVC. But that's a little bit on a side tangent. Focus on GitHub. If you don't know how to make a pull request and you're very interested on starting your contributions to open source, I added here written documentation from GitHub on how to make a pull request. and also a video on YouTube, 4-minute video, very simple, on how to make a pull request. Please do make sure that you know how to make a pull request. You don't need to be amazing at it, but you should try. At least once in your life, you should try. It's a very important thing to know. Cool. More tips. If you're a beginner and you want to contribute to open source because that's what you want to do, you can look for good first issue tags on the list of issues. Good first issues are usually things that are very simple, compatibility stuff, or maybe adding type hints to a method or a class. Sometimes it's only a typo or a change in documentation. It's things that are not difficult for you to develop, and there's not that much discussion as necessary. So if it's your first time, I would try and start, as I've done it, with good first issue tag. And different tools have different tags like this. By the way, I don't think I mentioned this, but these slides are going to be available for you at the end of this. So if you do want to, click around, or you don't need to be writing anything or taking screenshots, you can just take the whole slides. And if you have any questions, please do email me or send me a message on LinkedIn, or, we get there. Cool. Let me go back to. Perfect. So something else to keep in mind is that when you write code, you need to write tests, and you do need to write documents. And when you write documents, you need to make sure that you're compliant with the style guide. Documentation, not only to understand, to teach the user, so documentation that sometimes has to go to the actual website or the documentation of the tool, but documentation as in comment your code, make sure that your code is self-explanatory when it's possible to be, that your methods are commented, that everything has doc strings, and those need style guidelines. So, and it's okay also to submit things and then somebody gives feedback and then it comes back, but it's something good to keep in mind. When you write pull requests, as we like to call them PRs for short, make sure that you write a detailed description of it. I have at the end of the slides a guide on how to make your pull requests better. But try and make sure that you write a detailed explanation. And it's basically, usually goes into, I noticed that this was happening as a problem. I did this to solve it. This is the reasoning why I chose to solve the way I did. These are the results of the testing I'm doing. And then you can say, did it work? Did it not work? And go from there. The more detailed and explanatory your pull request is, the happier your reviewer will be. And usually, the happier your reviewer is, bigger are the chances that your contribution, so the code that you wrote, is going to be merged into the actual source code of the thing that you're fixing. And then last but not least, make sure your commits, which is the small increments of code that you do when you're writing your PR, make sure that those commits are small and your messages are very descriptive. If this doesn't make too much sense for you, when you make your first PR, you're going to understand a little bit better what I mean. It takes a lot of practice, but it's a skill that is very worth having. And keep in mind that we write code for other people. So if you look at it and you can understand, doesn't necessarily mean that other people can. Another good thing you can do is write a PR, write your code, and then show your friend, somebody who is beside you, or try to explain to a toy. I have some toys around me that I use to have conversations when I need to explain stuff. Because again, the fact that you can understand what you did doesn't mean that other people will be able to. And when people tell you this makes no sense, don't take it personal. Think, well, they might have a point. Ask them why. what you could do it to make it better, how they could change it, how you could change it, so they could understand better and implement those things. Usually when people give you feedback, even if it's harsh, it's not because they want to hurt your feelings. It's because they're saying what they're seeing. And sometimes we get very defensive, and there is no reason to. And code is frustrating. So keep in mind, a very good thing is that usually when feedback is harsh, it's not directed to you, it's directed to the work that you did. Cool. Another small tip for people that want to contribute but are not 100% sure on how to start, you can, instead of actually taking an issue and developing on it, you can join a triaging of issues themselves, which basically means that you can join a group of people that will test the issues that are open on a specific tool, see if there is enough description and documentation for developers to work on it. And by doing this, you also learn how to write a really good pull request, and also how to reach your issues when you do open issues. And one of the tools that you can use also, if you don't know any triage teams, you can go into Code Triage, which is a website, and you can sign up and you can subscribe to your favorite Python tools, and you can receive emails with instructions on how to triage those issues and reproduce the bugs or the issues that people are having to see if it actually makes any sense. One of the things that we care a lot about when we see bugs is it reproducible? Can I do it on my machine? Because if I can, then it means that there is actually something broken. Most of the work is to find where is the place where things are broken, because things don't really look like they are. Cool. So there is a very big caveat that I know we all use AI tools to do things. Please do not use AI tools, the so-called LLMs. So ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude.ai, DeepSeek, or whatever tool it is. Do not submit unreviewed code written by those tools to an open source contribution. Please. The reason for this is that unreviewed AI code is very hard to maintain. When you take an issue, tell your AI tool, fix this bug for me, this is the situation, you take that answer, you don't test it, you don't see if it makes sense, you don't see if it's backwards compatible, you don't do any verifications with it. What you're actually doing is you're taking time, precious time, from somebody that is probably working as a volunteer, reviewing PRs and maintaining contributions for free, for a tool, for the good of the community. When you do this, when you submit unreviewed AI code, you're wasting that person's time, because most of the code, still to this day, most of the code that AI tools write is not good code, and it's very hard to maintain. It creates a lot of overhead to the maintainers, and it hurts everybody because it's low quality code. So please help with the unhappy developer crisis and do not do this. Please. Cool. Now we're done with writing code as contribution for open source. And we're moving on to other ways that you can contribute to open source that have not that much to do with writing code. Some other ways you can support the community, open source community around you, is well, you can create content. You can put together talks about things that you've done. You can submit it to conferences. You can apply for grants on those conferences, and you can go to different countries to give those presentations. You can meet loads of really cool people by giving those talks. You can write blog posts, and then you can also link in those talks. You can give workshops. You can give tutorials. You can write them, or you can take tutorials from the internet and build on top of them. And by doing all this, you can also support the maintainers of those tools that you love and that you have been using to do those things by thanking them publicly for their work. You can tag them on LinkedIn when you build something and say, thank you, person X, for all the work that you did creating this thing, because it helped me solve this specific problem on this specific context. Most of these people are volunteers. There's a very small percentage of open source maintainers and contributors that actually make money from it. And they do it from the goodness of their heart. So mentioning them on the content you create and thanking them and exposing how they are helping you to solve problems every day actually makes them very happy. This is one way. Another way you can contribute to open source. And you can also find a mentor. And you can mentor somebody. I know Olukemi was a really good mentor to most of you, but don't think that because he is a doctor and he's so higher up and he's mentoring that you cannot mentor too. You should be mentoring. When I was on my second year in college, I was mentoring kids from high school. They were looking on how to build things, and if we could, play with Raspberry Pis, if we could make a computer, if we could pull a computer apart and then put it back together and see if it would work. I was we were being mentored actually, because every time you mentor somebody, that person mentors you too. You learn with it. You always learn with it. We were learning how to make wires for Ethernet cables. There's always something you can learn, and there's always something the person that is right beside you that they know and you don't. There's always going to be something that you know that they don't. So make sure that you find the people that you can swap this knowledge and build some connection, because this is the most important part of open source, the community part, the part that you actually get to interact with people, learn things and share the things that you know. And if you are thinking about hosting a workshop, tada! I could not talk about hosting workshops and mentoring beginners without talking about Humble Data. I am one of the main organizers of Humble Data Workshop, and this is how I met Olukemi as well. Humble Data is a beginners workshop for people who are trying to start learning Python and data science. And it's very simple to host. We have all the material ready on a GitHub repository that you can translate to your own language if that's the case. When you get the slides, if you click here, you can see there's here. This is all the notebooks. They're all notebooks, Jupyter notebooks that you can execute. And I just noticed that you cannot see what I'm seeing. So let's not go there. Anyway, by clicking on this logo, the Humble Data logo on the slides, you get to see the GitHub repository. You get to play with it, and also if you want to host it, please do get in contact with me or with Olukemi, and we'll be more than happy to tell you how you can do this. Humble Data is great fun. And you can also see the people over there celebrating because they got swag, because they finished some of the notebooks. And you can see the amount of different people that go around trying to, learn a little bit. Cool. So you can create your community. You can schedule learning sessions. You can organize events around the things that matter to you. You can, if you don't want to build your own community, you can also join events that already happen. You can volunteer for those events. You can give talk for those events. And some PyCons also have the benefit, the extra benefit of having developer sprints. This one specifically, the description that I have on the slides is for core Python development, but PyCon US, EuroPython, and some other conferences have what we call sprints days. And at sprints days, you get, usually they're free you don't need to have a ticket. They give you food, they give you a place to sit and meet with the people who are core maintainers of the tools, and either online or in person. And you can work on issues live with the people around you, mentoring you, and they can look at your code and maybe merge it on the spot, which is something really cool. And then sometimes you also get a gift, like a token. And I believe that the sprints is the best way to onboard into a project you want to contribute to. And well, here I have on this slide all the PyCons around the world. They are happening. As you can see, it's a lot of them. There's also PyCamps and PyDatas and, you know, different sort of events. The URL for where you can find those events is at the top of this slide. There's loads of them that you can join. You don't need necessarily to organize things. And I also found a list of open source events. They're happening around Africa. And the links are here. My special love goes to DjangoCon Africa. So Django framework is a Python framework for web development. So you basically learn how to make websites and deal with web servers and, you know, application development, web development mostly. And they're really cool. They have really cool workshops. They're really nice people. And I know they have been hosting loads of workshops. And it's a wonderful way to start to go in. They're extremely welcoming. And it's really, really good people that run it. But I have to say, I love all PyCons. PyCons are amazing. And something else you can do is you can follow people that you like by going to PyCons, by watching the talks there online on PyCon editions on YouTube. You can also find the people that you like and that speak the same language as you, in a sense of, you know, you actually understand and you like what they're saying. These are some of the people that I really admire. There's Carol Willing, who is a member, one of the oldest members of the Python Steering Council. She's a mentor to me. She's one of the people that actually invented Jupyter Notebooks and Jupyter Hub, so the whole platform. And she also worked at MIT. I am in love with this woman. I find her incredible. And I had the chance to talk to her at several different PyCons, and she's amazing. So I follow her everywhere she goes and watch everything that she publishes. I really like her, and she taught me a lot about empathy, about people, about how to interact with people, and that the technology is not really the most important part. The most important part is the people. And then I have right beside that the complete contrast, who is Rodrigo, who is a maths teacher. And usually the way that he publishes things on his social media and the talks that he gives is everything is kind of like this on how to be better, how to get better. And on the specific slide, he's talking about learn about programming by reading good code. And then he recommends, basically, he mentions 2 standard libraries in Python and tells you, well, read the code, read the docs. You don't understand it. Great, research, and that's how you get better. This is how I got better. And I do that. I learned how to do that by having a conversation with him. So yeah, it's a really good advice. And last but not least, Python is inclusive. So make sure that you speak to people in the community. And then on the right-hand side of the slide, I have, passed on LinkedIn, which are platforms you can find people that speak your language. But links there are on the Black Python Devs on the dev.to, which is a blog platform that you can also make an account and publish your own texts, your own blog posts, your own experiences. There's also Python Discord, which is a Discord server, which with more than 300,000 people. And they have Q&A places where very good Python developers look at snippets of your code and tell you what's wrong. So if you have nobody to talk to, nobody to discuss with, you can basically just go there and tell them what you're trying to do. And they're lovely people. And there's always something going on. There's always people talking. There's always, people sharing the stuff that they do with Python. It's a very cool place to go. Finally, here are a couple of places that you can find a mentor as well. I don't know if you're familiar with Outreachy, but Outreachy is a company, a nonprofit company that pays for 3 months internships for people to learn how to contribute to open source. The sign up for this round now ended not that long ago. I think it was like 10 days ago. Also, again, if you go into the slides and you just click on this picture, you'll be able to go into their website. It's a really cool initiative. Not everybody can volunteer, can work for free. So outreach is really important because you learn as an intern and you get paid. It's really cool. And then there is the Google Summer of Code, which kind of explains itself, but basically it's 12 weeks internships with companies that sign up with Google Summer of Code. So you can get an internship to do a project with a company and learn what you would like to learn. You choose the project, you choose what you want to do. And this is also a great way that you can get experience. Cool. So we are getting to the end. I hope you're enjoyed. But just to summarize, we learned today that open source is a model of doing anything. And open source software is software that is made in a collaborative, peer-reviewed, and produced in an open space. Community is the backbone of open source. Technology is not important, people are. There are many ways to contribute to open source. You can write code, which is the most obvious one. You can create content. You can support maintainers with the content that you create, and you can join community events or create your own. Python has a wonderful community. Please do make sure that you take advantage of it. Find a mentor, get guidance, mentor somebody in something you know. And finally, which was an advice I got from myself, it really changed the way I think of career, which is find what interests you and focus on that. And well, this is it. Then I have a page with resources if you're interested in contributing to CPython. There is a guide on contribution to scikit-learn, but it doesn't necessarily need to be used for scikit-learn only, which is a data science, data visualization library. You can use it for other things, like just for the, breakdown of the ways you can contribute. And then there's a guide to making your pull requests better from the dev.co community. Finally, I want to end with, I see the questions coming. I'm so excited already. Anyway, finally, I want to end this with a quote from Guido van Rossum, the creator of Python, that says that a programming language created by a community fosters happiness in its users around the world. And this is what we all should aim for. We should be aiming for joy. Hitting the code, but aiming for joy. This is it. Now it's time for Q&As.
Thank you very much, Laís. Oh my God, Laís. Thank you very much for for this presentation. I hope Olukemi is back online. Olukemi, are you back online?
Yes, I'm back. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to appreciate the presentation, and in all of this, I will not forget what I've been preaching to and what has always been my point of focus, and that was how I got to meet you. Find what interests you and focus on that, and what I've been doing in focusing on Python. I remembered someone was doing a presentation for a BSc presentation yesterday, and one of the lecturer was like, you need to talk to your supervisor. If you are writing on Python, your supervisor will guide you very well. And I was like, do you know our supervisor? I was like, why won't I know? I know you are the one now. You are the one that has Python all over you. So thank you so much for that. Over to you, Olukemi, for Q&A section from us and also from the participants. And before we go ahead, I would like to say from the slide, you mentioned some communities that we could join. You mentioned PyCon Africa, PyCon Nigeria. I was at the PyCon Africa program. Olukemi were there in Ghana, and we got a travel grant to be there. And to crown it up, I have one of the organizer here, and I have one of the Pi Nigerian lead here, Mr. Jetemi. You are welcome. Thank you for joining this webinar. And I hope this webinar, if there'll be PyCon Nigeria this year, we'll be able to host Ombu Data Workshop in PyCon Nigeria. So we'll still give you time to talk. Mr. Jetemi, just prepare to contribute as we move ahead. Thank you so much. Olukemi, over to you.
All right, thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Laís. Your session has been so wonderful. And I like the fact that you mentioned that you shouldn't copy or take codes from LLM, ChatGPT, or whatnot, and then place it on. Thank you so much for that. Thank you for laying emphasis on that. And I am hoping that every other enthusiast, every other Python beginner also has grabbed that too. Thank you so much for your session. It's been so enlightening. We'll be going to the question now. I would ask this question, guys. What level of Python expertise is required before making an open source contribution? Is it beginner level? Is it intermediate or advanced level? So we'd like to know what level of Python expertise is required before making any contributions to open source community.
So it depends on sorry, to start, thank you very much for the invite. I'm glad you seem to have liked the talk. I'm very, very appreciative. Thank you very much. And then for your question, well, it's if you're thinking of contributing by writing code, you need to have the level of knowing how to make a pull request. Because if you cannot make a pull request, you're not going to be able to share your code. You can start like I did. I started without knowing how to make a pull request. So I would try and make a pull request and I would fail and then I would try again. It took me 2 days to submit the code that I wrote on a first attempt. So you can obviously try without knowing anything and then just try and fail and keep trying and keep trying and keep trying. But if you don't want to, you can learn how to make a pull request first. Then you can go into beginners first issues, so good first issues, or beginners issues on the tags on the GitHub page you're looking at, or whichever platform people are using to host their code. And you can start with that. So you don't need to be a proficient developer. You just need to want, basically. And then, you can do other contributions to open source, which is thanking people for their contributions. You can create content. You can help other people that are already trying. Yeah. Does this answer your question, Olukemi?
Yes, it does. Thank you. So I guess every other listener, I've just heard you that you don't have to be a guru before you can make contributions to the open source community. All you have to do is just keep trying, keep learning. Like the man Thomas Edison, who invented the electric bulb, kept trying until he got it. So keep trying, keep learning, and then one day you'll get it. So thank you so much, Laís. That answer. Thank you so much. Uh, I'll be asking another question. Um, how can a beginner locate open source Python projects that fit their interest and their skill level? How can a beginner, yeah, figure that?
So the easiest way to find your preferred tool is by playing with things. So my suggestion would be find something you like to do. So if you like AI, find a tutorial that you want to test. Then maybe try and doing that tutorial with another tool to see if you like the other tool more. But in any case, you can try, I think it's pypi.org. Let me see. So pypi.org. Yes, pypr.org is the website. I sent it on the chat right now. That's the website where all the Python libraries, the packages are published. So you can go there and have a look and see, what if there is anything that interests you. And well, if there is, then you can start from that. Also, you can find the GitHub page of specific libraries from that page. So you can click on the GitHub page and then you can go and find the person who actually wrote the thing and send them a message and maybe start talking to them. Like it's quite easy to track the people once you decided what you like. So I would start by deciding what I like, what I want, and then I would look for things around that sphere that would make sense to pursue, to learn.
I thank you so much. Please let's note that she has said Laís has sent the link to the chat section. If you are interested, kindly check the chat section to go through and pick whatever skill or area that interests you. Thank you so much, Laís. Also one other question. What are some common mistakes new contributors make when joining an open source project, and how can they avoid them?
That's a great question. So the main common mistake is to take an issue, write on the code, and then report saying, just submitting the code and saying, I did this. Again, it's important for the people who maintain the tool. There is a lot of people that do this. But the reason why it's a common mistake and people keep doing it is because it's hard to understand how much overhead it creates to a maintainer when you just submit the code and they have no context around it. Again, the people are much more important than the technology itself, because at the end of the day, you're writing code for other people. maintainers would prefer that your code, that you have a communication with them, that you understand how to write the code, that you understand the problem you're solving, much more that they would care that your code performs in half of the execution time that someone else's code. Let's say the actual quality of your code matters, but it matters more that they understand what you're trying to do with what you're doing. It's like when you're trying to solve a problem, but you don't fully understand what the problem is. The solution might be a very good solution, but it might not be the best solution for the problem itself. So I think one of the most common mistake that we make, not only beginners, but we as humans make, is trying to solve the wrong problem. So looking into something and solving, going straight into the solution without fully understanding what the problem is. So if you do find something that you want to do, that you want to develop, that you want to contribute with, my suggestion would be going to a sprint. There are plenty of tools that make sprints online. You don't need to travel. You don't need to go to a conference necessarily, but go to a sprint. Choose a tool that the subject that you know or that you're very interested on. Talk to somebody, pick one issue, talk to them that you're thinking about developing that you're thinking about solving that problem, that you think that the problem is X, and then go from there. Don't jump straight into the solution because maybe your solution is not right for what the problem is. Does this make sense?
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Laís. Okay, I would ask one question as a follow-up question. As an open source and community advocate, what non-coding skills have you developed by your contributions to open source projects?
Ooh. That's because I keep saying that the people are more important than the technology. That you ask me this.
Yes.
Well, I think that learning how to talk to people, learning how to identify what the problem is, and well, we call them, some people call them soft skills. I don't like the term soft skills because I think all skills are important, and classifying them as soft and hard is, doesn't make really sense. But apart from technical skills, um, the leadership skills, as I like to call them, the so-called soft skills, the leadership skills are very important. So understanding how to communicate with people, understand how to ask questions. What is it that you want to ask? And then, making sure that you're asking what you want to know. Making sure that you can say what you mean, and making sure that you also mean what you say. I feel like open source helped me a lot on having more confidence as well, on saying the things that I know and to admitting the things that I don't know, because nobody needs to know everything. And that's why community is so important, because, well, all of us together know much more than just one of us, no matter who the one of us is. So I would say communication, confidence. I think those are the most important skills apart from the technical part. Those are the most important skills that open source taught me, in general, for life. And those are the most important skills that I have in my career, ever since I started.
Oh, thank you so much. One key point I'll be running with going forward is community is more important than the technology. So I think I'm going to run along with that effective point. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay. Please, attendees, let's do well. Let's drop our questions in the chat section. We'll be taking your questions shortly. So please let's drop our questions. If you have any questions, let's drop them in the chat section. I would ask, can contributing to open source help with getting internships or jobs? For people who are just coming into Python programming, can contributing to open source help with getting internships or job? And how should one showcase these contributions on the portfolio or CV?
Yes. So my first job in technology, I was in my third year in college, and I only got that job. There was no job description for the job. They were hiring it not internally, but like they were hiring from the community basically. And I was recommended by a person from the community, and that's how I got my first job. I was still in college. So yes, having a community presence is very important, because not only because you can learn skills that you would not learn in college, for example, but also because you start creating this network of people that understand how to work with you and what is your working style, and people that can advocate for you. I was talking to someone that is hiring recently, I think it was last week, and she was telling me that there were around 200 CVs dropped for one placement. They were like, already triaged by human resources. And she was saying that, well, I cannot interview 100 people for this one place. So she started asking inside of the company, who knows, inside of the community, who knows these people? Do you know any of these people? Have you worked with any of these people? And there were two people that had contact with the community. And those two people were the people that were selected to do an interview. So having a network, building your network from very early is extremely important if you want to go into the industry. Yes, because who you know is actually sometimes more relevant than how much you know, which might not be that fair, but it's the way that things go. Does that answer your question? Do you need more?
Yes, that really does, because that got me wondering. That means the power of network, how far your network can take you. Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for answering these questions beautifully. Thank you. Then I'll ask you, what impact has your participation in open source had on your professional life?
A lot. First of all, yeah, I just noticed I forgot the CV portfolio part. And one of the ways that open source contribution can, help you with that is that by going into events, by building tutorials, by talking to people, you're able to create content that you can then put on your CV. That you can say, if you haven't had the chance to collaborate in a group to build something, you can say, well, I built this and I would like to collaborate with other people to build this, to expand this in this specific way. When you're starting, showing that you're willing to get out of your comfort zone and try new things on your own, even if the result is not great as you wish to be, but you still have the courage to build something, is very important. And yeah, it's not really that complicated. At the end of the day, the people who are hiring wants to know that you are somebody that can learn with your mistakes, that people can talk to you, that you're not gonna, go mental if somebody says your code is not good or your app is not good or we need to change on this thing. And they also want to know that you're reliable, that if they give something to you, that you're so passionate that you're going to be able to bring it to the finish line and see it completed. So make sure that you have those things in your mind, and go and try, because you're all young and beautiful and you should all be trying new things and having fun, which is the most important part.
All right. Thank you so much, Laís. Thank you. So we're going straight to questions from the attendees, questions from participants. I hope you are ready to answer these questions. Okay, so this question is from Olukemi Jacobs. He or she is asking, like he is looking to go into cybersecurity. Does a knowledge of Python help, and how can he learn it?
Cool. Yes. So cybersecurity. Ooh. Yes, knowledge of Python helps because Python is a language that is very used to do scripting, which is I will tell you something that I've seen it happening. There was this speaker at a conference once, and he got kicked out from the Wi-Fi right before his presentation started, and he needed internet. He's a great Python developer, and he couldn't. Apparently, the network that he was using, they had changed he wasn't using the default open one because of some configuration on his computer. He was using another one, and apparently they had changed the password. So he had a Python script that guessed the password for that specific Wi-Fi network. He ran that Python script and he connected to the Wi-Fi network in less than 2 minutes. So the reason I'm telling this story is that Python is very easy to write scripts with it. So to do very simple tasks in an extremely fast way. To go into cybersecurity, you will need a lot of skills because cybersecurity is basically about how the different tiers from the outside internet to your internal computer, how they interact with each other. So you will need at least one other programming language, most likely another low-level one, and more low-level than Python. We consider Python to be high-level because it's very similar to language that we speak. So English, when you're writing English, Python is kind of similar. You would need something more low-level, so a little bit less abstract. And to learn, I don't understand if you're asking me how you can learn Python or how you can learn cybersecurity. To learn Python, I would start with some of the advice that I already gave in the talk. You can, join the community, try developing your own applications, going into that kind of stuff. To learn cybersecurity, I'm not a cybersecurity expert. I don't know I don't know that much about it, but I believe that for anything you would try and learn today, the way I would try to learn cybersecurity today, if I was starting and I was interested in cybersecurity, would be I would find a roadmap for cybersecurity. I would look into maybe 4 or 5 different roadmaps from different people. I would make sure that those people know what they're talking about. I would connect with some people on LinkedIn and Mastodon, follow them on their personal blogs on cybersecurity as well, see what's going on in the industry, have that roadmap of things to learn. as with, steps and goals. And I would try and build projects that would be cybersecurity related. And I hope this answers your question. Cool. I see.
Thank
The
you.
no problem.
So we have another question from Ebuka. It's saying, in recent times, it is a norm for developers to rely on AI for developing systems. Ma, do you feel understanding the concepts, but because of voluminosity, we rely on AI for sourcing our codes as long as we get the job done? And we can defend this work from requirements analysis to disposal is unethical. On the other hand, the Python ecosystem is extremely large. How would you advise a beginner to sharpen his or her skills?
Okay. Yes, the Python ecosystem is extremely large. And I agree that this is one of the best things about Python, but it can also be one of the most difficult things because the amount of information is overwhelming and the amount of things you can do with it is also overwhelming. It is very hard this day to not use AI for writing code or for writing your essays or for, having a chat and trying to understand what's going on in the world. I completely agree. My point in the talk is that the code that is written by AI is not necessarily code that should be submitted unreviewed to bigger applications, because when the applications grow, they have to make sure that you have a thing that we call backwards compatibility, which means that the things that work with this new thing you're developing is also working with the stuff that was working before. This is a little bit of a hard constraint, but focusing on the last part of your question, which is how I would advise a beginner to sharpen their skills, I would say use AI, use LLM tools to chat with you, to give you feedback on the things you're doing, to give you feedback on your code structure, to have a conversation with the things you're trying to do. There is also quite a large usage of agents at the moment, which is those LLMs, those tools that you can do, that you can just give a task and it goes using different models to execute things in a row. So as a pipeline of things to be done. But sometimes these things don't work, and you need to make sure that a little bit of what is happening so you can actually review it. So again, to go back to how to sharpen your skills, I would say try and build things that you don't necessarily understand when you build them, but you build them to try and understand how they work. Get feedback from people that know more than you and that you trust and that you respect as professionals and as people that you know. Because those people, professors, mentors, people that, again, you trust on their feedback, get feedback from them, try to understand what they're saying, try to build things on your own, not necessarily without AI, but understanding each step of what the code is doing, and try to not copy and paste code from an LLM into production or into the thing that you're trying to do without reading it, because this is the dangerous part. The dangerous part is submitting code that you cannot understand what it's doing. Please do talk to me, Ebuka.
Ebuka, do you have
Ibuka,
a
are you
follow-up
there?
question?
Okay, he has sent a message that's
Perfect. Yeah, okay. It's just because I heard them speaking, so it's like, okay, so they have a follow-up to the question. So I was waiting to see if there was a follow-up to the question. If this is enough, if this is not enough and you'd like to ask more questions about it, I can send you my email and you can have a chat maybe at a later time. But this is basically the idea. The idea here is to ask people to please do not use stuff that is unreviewed and submit it to other people, because LLMs right now are not good enough on writing code.
yes. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Laís. Before I call on Jetimi to as one of the organizer of PyCon Nigeria, he also asked a question, and the question is, as a Python beginner, what do I need to learn? Considering I don't know what specific field to pick: data analysis, data science, software engineering, AI. Basically, how do I find my paths? That is from Jetemi.
This is a really good question, because this is even before you choose the thing that you want to do. So what I did when I was in this stage was to play. It was the most fun thing I could do in my life, and it's the time that I actually remember quite dearly and miss the most, is when I had the luxury of have time to just play with things. So I would choose something that I wanted to do. So, for example, the Markov chain talk that I gave for Python Pizza many years ago, it was, I wanted to understand what Markov chain was. So I wrote the code. Then I wrote a UI for the code to run it. So I could someone that was running the thing could interact it. Then I gave it to a friend and said, "Can you please look at the code and look at the UI and tell me what I could do better?" And she came back to me. It was Chuck, the friend, and Chuck came back to me and said, "I can't run your code. What is this? You need to containerize it. Put it in Docker." And I was like, "All right, I don't know how to do Docker. Let's learn how to do Docker." So um, I did Docker and then I sent it to her back and she's like, "Okay, now I can run it, but your code is terrible in these specific places. Fix it like this." And I started trying to fix it, and I understood that, looking at performance and looking at how to make things better wasn't really giving me joy. So I tried to focus on the part that was giving me joy, which was the Docker part. I really enjoyed it. So I understood that I liked DevOps a lot. And that was the bit that then I decided to start working with. Then I started a new project on data science, because behind AI, it's all data science and statistics. So I started with that, and I saw that I liked that, but I liked more the bit of data visualization. So I always try to focus at the end of the day on the bits that I like the most. But in summary, the advice is try new things, try slow bits at each time. Notice what are the things that you like the most, that you're the most happy when you're doing it, or that you're more interested when you're doing it, and then focus on those, because that's probably the way. Does this answer?
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much for that. Also, to contribute to those dimensions about cybersecurity, I want to let you know that data analysis, data science cut across all fields. So it is now left for you to sit down and look how you can bring all that into your own field of study. If you're an engineer, if you're a biochemistry student, a biotechnology, and all of this. to do your analysis, and that is that. So, Mr. Jedemi, I hope you are here. I'm giving you this opportunity to speak because I know you are the PyCon, one of the PyCon NGO organizer in Nigeria, and I have a lot of students here that are here hear from you, and I know also I've mentioned that earlier, the Pi Club for the higher institution. So you have the floor for some minutes before we end this webinar. Mr. Temi, over to you, please.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Kayode, and thank you, Laís, for your great presentation again today. Apologies to everybody. I am actually on the road. Although I'm hands-free, I'm driving, but I'm hands-free, so I can talk. So once again, good morning, afternoon, and evening to everyone across the world. My name is Michael, actually, but people call me Daddy. So again, thank you for mentioning that we recently launched Pi Club. That is not under Pi, it's a standalone community itself, just like we have PyCon, around and everyone. So I believe Pi Club will be beneficial to students around. Please just do apply. The link has been shared on Twitter and everywhere. So yes, you mentioned earlier, will PyCon Nigeria be happening this year? Yes, we'll be having PyCon Nigeria. The announcement will be coming out very soon, so it's reached to everybody. We also have the communities where, just like Liza said, we have a community on Slack, over 3,000 people, where you can always come, drop messages, get support from people. And this is basically how we grow. Just a quick experience of mine is, I started my career as application support, where we don't do anything about Python at all. I write SQL code. However, today I'm building a full RAG system from scratch for the same organization, and I'm using Python. I mean, everybody, whenever it comes Python, they just point fingers at me, and that is one beautiful thing about it. The community is there to help get people, like she said, people who are sensible, that you have verifiable facts or evidence that this that they are doing, and they will really help you grow. So it's just not to take our time again. Thank you again for the opportunity and for the awesome talk and the session. Thank you again. I think I'll just stop there for now.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Maybe we can share, sorry, Oladapo, I think you're muted, but maybe, Jetemi, we can share the Slack on the chat, so people that are interested and want to join, they can also get some local. Yeah, I think that would be really cool for everybody, because this is exactly the spirit of community that I was mentioning. Thank you for sharing.
Oh, okay. Like I said, I'm currently driving hands-free.
I will do
so
that. I will do that. I will check the Python Nigerian group on LinkedIn so that people can go through it and click.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. I will check this. I'm on the Slack too, so I'll also look into that. So thank you so much. Liaz, also, luckily I have Mrs. Cecilia, one of our mentors in Python in Ibadan. Yeah, she also joined this morning. Mrs. Cecilia, you are welcome. You are free to unmute and also pass across one or two things to the students.
Okay, good morning, good afternoon, or anywhere you are. Good morning, so nice listening. Sorry, I won't be able to show my face at the moment. So it's so nice. I've been listening, hearing from people on different things. Okay. Python is also what I use most of the time. I use it for my data science, use it for my machine learning. And at the moment, I teach kids even on how to use Python. They find it so easy. They find it so attractive. Yesterday, we did some presentations. Some of them use it to actually use it with machine learning for playing game, development of games and the likes, the hand posture, the lawn detection cancer. But Python has actually been embedded in so many platforms like Pictobox. They actually code their own Python using Pictobox. So it's embedded inside the Pictobox. So it's a platform, it's a very friendly platform for kids to actually kickstart that. And it also has a drag and drop that it will just generate the Python code for them also. So they find it easy and they're able to cope faster. So we are enjoying it. Thank you for the good work you do, Dr. Kayode. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Cecilia. We are into the business together, and we thank you so much. Also, I have Mrs. Awokoya, one of the lecturer at the Department of Computer Science, McPherson University. I wouldn't know if you are free to unmute and also say something. Mrs. Awokoya, are you there? Okay. Okay, probably she might not be able to. So thank you so much for that. Like I said, I have Mr. Deji Adekunle also joining from UK. So we have 5 minutes left for this webinar. It's been an awesome time together. For Mr. Ayokunle Ayodeji, will you be free to say something from UK? Thanks for joining. Do you have anything to say? Okay,
Yeah,
because
good
of
morning,
our
everyone.
time. Okay, please go
Yeah,
ahead.
I really enjoy this webinar a lot. I'm just thinking of going back to Haiti and all the information I needed to gather, you know, I'm trying as much as possible, to gather them. Yeah. Thank you very much. And thank you for having me.
Okay, thank you so much. Before we go for the final of this program, where we'll be sharing we'll be going for a group picture. Any final word from Laís before we go ahead?
Well, I would like to thank you for the opportunity. I would like to thank Olukemi for the questions and for all the interaction as well. I would like to thank everybody for joining. I hope you enjoyed it. There was a lot of love, there was a lot of care and a lot of thought put into this presentation. So I do hope you take the slides. And that if you have anything that you would like to ask me later, also I just posted my email on the chat. Feel free to send me an email at any point or to ask me a question on LinkedIn. Yeah, the final question I was going to ask, after thanking everybody for everything, is the Python Nigeria link. We couldn't open it. The only link was the one for the PyClub links, and we could PyClubs, perfect. Let me see. Amazing. We can open now. Cool. Awesome. So it's working. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for joining me on the Saturday morning. It was a pleasure. Thank you very much and enjoy your weekend.
Okay, thank you very much. Hopefully, Kemi will be able to see in PyCon US, and you've told me you won't be at EuroPython, but hopefully we'll keep up, catching up. My team are here, my PG team, will get to meet another mentor that I've discussed with to guide us through. So it's time for our picture. So let's be free to bring in our cameras so that we can snap our group picture. Please don't be shy to, the camera is open for you to come up. So please, let's do that. We have a few minutes to go. I hope they're okay. Thank you very much. So who else, can you please bring out your camera for the closing picture? Thank you, Shiv Okanume. Well, okay, who else? Are we all shy of camera? Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Joseph, I could see you. Where are the others? I know you're in the hostel, but at least you can actually do your background to show forth. We have a few minutes to go. Please, okay. Ibito, you blossom. Yes, I could see you. Thank you. Who else again? This is an evidence of our program together. I know your names are showing, but we actually need to do this. Sure. Okay, shall I say 1, 2? We manage what we have. Okay, who else wants to come up with the picture? Okoreke, I could see you. Okay. 1, 2, go. I take a snapshot. Okay, we managed this. If you still want to come up with a picture with your video, feel free to do that. Okay, thank you so much. We'll put an end to the event, and hopefully some people are just joining again, so I can still do my snapping again. So doing okay, so we have another picture. Okay, doing that again. We have another picture. Okay, so thank you so much. We've been able to have various sessions. We've had our session with Jody. We've had our session with Alan Smith. We've had our session with Kings David, one of my students that exposed us to prompt engineering. And the last person we had our section with was with who? Miss Olukemi Jacobs? Okay, then as Laís with us. So by God's grace, we'll be having another one next month. And with that, we hope to come up with a full story of what we've done with Ombu data. So thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. See you next time.
Bye.